The MX-5 Automatic exists because some people need it, but when you option that transmission, Mazda removes a bunch of the good stuff. It's not just removing the clutch pedal, it's a different chassis philosophy altogether. What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a drive. I'm your host, Brian Max Racer, lover of driving fast, fun things, and on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. Now, Mazda cutting those 5 things from the MX-5 Automatic specification is not the company being cheap. They're actually creating 2 very distinct philosophies under the MX-5 nameplate. And before we get into what this is like to drive, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. From a specification standpoint, the changes go deeper than just changing transmissions and ditching the clutch pedal. There's still the naturally aspirated 2-liter that makes 181 horsepower at 7,000 RPM and 151 pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM, which is identical to the manual. This 6-speed automatic does have a torque converter. It locks up in multiple gears, has paddle shifters, and a sport mode, which I think might be Mazda's way of apologizing in advance. Double wishbone front suspension, multi-link at the rear with softer dampers replacing the Bilsteins of the manual. Steering still electrically assisted, 4-wheel disc brakes with ABS, 17-inch wheels and tires. Curb weight is 2,414 pounds, which is 40 more than the manual. Static weight distribution goes 1 percentage point in the wrong direction, 54% front, 46% rear, but that actually matters to approximately 7 people, all of whom bought the manual anyway. Now about this automatic spec, it's more than just the transmission. Mazda deleted 5 key things. With this automatic, you don't get the limited slip diff, Bilstein dampers, strut tower brace, the DSC track mode, and the induction sound enhancer. This isn't cost-cutting. The automatic costs the same as the manual in Canada and less than $1,000 more in the US. Mazda's deliberately creating 2 different products, a sport spec for drivers who want the sharpest tool, daily driver spec for drivers who want the easiest tool. It's product segmentation with the subtlety of a restraining order. Subscribers get notified when new episodes drop on this channel. Non-subscribers hope the algorithm will show it to them eventually. If you want to control when you see our episodes on YouTube, well, that's what the subscribe button does. Seating position, classic MX-5. You sit low in the chassis. Yes, we are missing the clutch pedal and a manual shifter. Otherwise, everything else is identical, but there are a couple of points that we do need to address. I think the biggest consideration inside an MX-5 is the amount of space that you have. So, for example, there is a limited amount of adjustment in the steering column. Now, it is a welcome addition in this ND3 MX-5, that's for sure. The seat has a limited amount of adjustment as well. I'm 5'10" on a good day, so if you're significantly taller than I am, you're going to be cramped for space inside an MX-5. Visibility is excellent, of course. We really don't need to debate that. Storage space, well, this is a 2-seat roadster, so it's fairly limited. You might fit 2 carry-on size suitcases in that trunk. Right now, I do have my carry-on size camera bag and a backpack and not much else back there. The instrument cluster is a delightful blend of analog and digital. The digital is there for all kinds of information you might need on a secondary basis. The primary info, the tachometer, nice and big in the center of the instrument cluster, as well as your speedometer. But you really don't need to worry about the speedometer because you can drive this flat out all day long and not break any speeding laws. We know about the infotainment system. I simply use it on wireless CarPlay, as we're doing now, and it works wonderfully for me. Don't worry about it after that. Seats are heated, thankfully, though at this time of year I wouldn't mind a heated steering wheel, but really not going to complain. And I gotta say, visibility is excellent in all directions. It's so good, you actually don't need a backup camera, but those regulations exist simply because someone somewhere will back up into their own mailbox. The like button tells YouTube to share this video with other people like you who are interested in the MX-5. And if this episode gave you more information than what's contained in a brochure or a press release, well, that's the entire ask. Now, we all know the MX-5 is not about 0 to 60 times, and certainly this automatic is not. It might do 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds, but the upside is it feels quick simply because you sit so low to the ground. Now, relative to the manual, the automatic does rob some of that acceleration urgency from the MX-5 driving experience simply because there's a torque converter involved here. And the thing is, there's just that little bit of a delay between your throttle input and forward motion that the manual doesn't have. It's like you're asking for permission to accelerate rather than demanding it. Merging onto highways and passing slower traffic, it's adequate. For proving something to that Civic Type R next to you at a stoplight, well, you're going to lose. And that looks especially foolish because you're in an Automatic Miata, which combines two automotive choices that Civic Type R owners would mock simultaneously. Now, this 2-liter is delightful on its own, but in the automatic, running it to redline feels a little bit pointless from time to time. The engine itself loves to rev all the way up to 7,500 RPM. The throttle's willing, and it delivers power smoothly all the way up to redline. Peak torque at 4,000 RPM means you're constantly working to keep the revs up, and that's great. But in this automatic, it's kind of like being forced to dance when all you want to do is walk. And a lot of times it feels that you're actually working harder with the throttle than you would be in the automatic. Now, as for this automatic itself and the way it shifts, it actually prioritizes smooth shifts over crisp shifts. And that's the best part. Shifts are seamless when you're cruising, which is exactly what you want in traffic. Downshifts arrive when requested, but not instantly. And this sport mode, sure, it changes the shift points, but it leaves the character fundamentally the same. It's kind of like putting racing stripes on a minivan. Technically different, but it's the same spirit animal. Now, about this automatic shifter, when you are in manual mode, the shift action on this shift lever is correct. So it's push forward to downshift and pull back to upshift. Any manufacturers doing that the opposite way is completely incorrect. This is the correct way to do it. Yes, this has an open diff at the rear, not the limited slip diff of the manual. And in normal driving, it's just fine. And the best part is that the performance envelope of this MX-5's normal driving is quite big. But once you get to the extremes, that's where this open diff shows its true character. And especially on these snow-covered roads, that unweighted inside rear wheel loves to spin. I've turned off traction control just to highlight this, and this car is so easy to drive in any situation. Kind of really don't need traction control, but it definitely highlights it. You just push this a little bit mid-corner and that inside rear wheel spins uselessly. And then its partner, the outside rear wheel, doesn't do much else. On these back roads, when we're linking corners, this automatic feels like you have to manage it a heck of a lot more than the manual. The manual just feels much more playful and alive, a much more willing dance partner. The fact that there isn't a limited slip diff here removes one of those fun factors of the MX-5 for me, which is the ability to steer with a throttle. If you want to support the channel beyond just watching, well, your support means more time producing fun episodes like this, less time worrying about manufacturer blacklists. Just an option, no pressure. Steering, well, it is just delightful, and as you know, it's been recalibrated for the ND3, and I really have no complaints about the steering here. It is absolutely fantastic and perfectly in character for this MX-5. Just is wonderful. Tremendous feedback as well, and of course lots of chassis feedback here, so you can really feel what's going on at all four contact patches. None of that feedback is masked by this automatic. Brakes are unchanged, and no, these aren't the optional Brembos. These are just simple brake calipers, but even these are fantastic because the brake pedal has incredible control and feedback. This is one of the best brake pedals in the business, and this doesn't detract from the driving experience. This enhances it because with this brake pedal, you can be exceptionally precise about controlling the attitude of this MX-5 on corner entry. I just love these brakes. And to fill you in, we recently drove the 35th anniversary MX-5, and going from that with its Bilsteins to this with these dampers, well, the change is noticeable. This rides significantly softer. It's significantly more compliant. There's a lot more body roll. There's a lot more body motion. It's not that body and wheel control is significantly worse. It's just a lot softer. That translates into a much more compliant ride over rough pavement, which is primarily what I drive on in this part of the world. Our road surfaces are terrible, and this rides so much better. No question about that. I'd still rather have the Bilsteins, but ride quality is noticeably better in this automatic. With these softer suspension settings and the open diff, this behaves very differently at the limit. It's not as if it doesn't want to go there, but it doesn't encourage you like the manual. The manual says, let's find the limit, and this automatic says, well, we can find the limit if it's important to you. And overall, chassis balance is nearly as playful as the manual. It's just softened a little bit around the edges, and you still play with this, and it still has delightful balance, delightful communication and feedback. Steering's accurate, braking is excellent, body and wheel control still way above average, and it changes direction willingly, and it's still very much an MX-5 driving experience, even if Mazda softened it up a little bit. How do you spec yours? Well, thankfully, it's an easy question to answer. What you are looking at is a 2025 Mazda MX-5 Grand Touring in the United States, GT in Canada, finished in Sol Crystal red paint and with black leather interior. In the US, this is priced at $35,750, and that is $920 more than the manual. In Canada, it's $42,550, and the automatic is a no-cost option. These prices are before freight, taxes, fees, etc. If you're buying the automatic, well, there is just one specification. There are no meaningful options, and that means Mazda's already decided what automatic buyers need, so your job is to accept it with grace. As for the RF, because I know some of you are going to ask, there are some considerations. Personally, not a fan of it. I don't need it, but I do understand some people might prefer the RF. Keep in mind, in the US, it costs $3,800 more. In Canada, it's $4,200 more than the Roadster. It's quieter, weather sealed, maybe a little bit more refined, and if you're choosing the automatic for comfort, the RF doubles down on that philosophy. Basically, you're choosing a small Grand Tour that happens to look like a sports car. Before you get excited and go straight to your Mazda dealer to buy an MX-5 automatic, let's have a look at what owners have to say. First, the good news, the 6-speed automatic is bulletproof, and automatic owners with 120,000 miles and more report 0 transmission failures. If long-term reliability is your priority, the automatic's track record is exceptional. Second, this is a USA-specific quirk. The automatic gets Mazda radar cruise control, and the manual doesn't. Canadians get it with both transmissions. Apparently, the American manual buyer doesn't need driver aids. The system handles stop-and-go traffic, which is why you bought the automatic in the first place. And when you're stuck in traffic, there's that sport mode, which is Mazda's way of saying, we know, and patting you on the head. Owners describe that second to first downshift at low speeds is harsh when rolling to a stop. It's jerky enough that passengers get jolted, they say, and worse during cold starts. It's not necessarily a defect. I didn't really experience it, but owners say it's consistent across all automatic NDs. An absolutely critical maintenance note: if you have an ND automatic, absolutely unequivocally use the Mazda supplied transmission fluid. One owner switched to Liquimoly that technically met the spec sheet, and then it developed a low RPM shutter. Mazda denied the warranty claim and then quoted $7,700 for a transmission replacement. Bottom line, owners love their automatic MX-5s. They're reliable, they're comfortable, they're traffic friendly, and that adaptive cruise makes commuting easy. Now, if you own one of these or have some significant quality seat time, let me know in the comments what I got wrong, what I got right. Owner intel is much more valuable than anything I can glean in a week-long press loan, and I always read those comments. My verdict, well, let's start with fuel consumption because it's always amusing with an MX-5. I'm averaging 26 miles per gallon in mixed highway, snow, city driving, everything that's about 9 liters per 100 kilometers for my Canadian friends. And I find that just astonishing because I'm not afraid to use the throttle. And of course, when you're driving an MX-5, it encourages you to use the throttle. Now, back to that automatic question. Mazda chose to make this the comfort version rather than trying to keep it as sharp as the manual, and that's defensible. It rides better over broken pavement, it's more forgiving of imperfect lines, and doesn't punish you for being in the wrong gear. If you view this MX-5 as a daily driver that happens to be fun rather than a track car that tolerates streets, the Automatic's character makes sense. But let's be honest about what you're buying. This isn't an MX-5 with an automatic option, it's an MX-5 daily driver spec. And for some drivers, that's exactly what works. Just make sure you know which spec you're choosing. If you told me you were gonna buy this package for track days, well, I'd tell you to go buy the manual and question your life choices because track days are a slippery slope, my friends. If you told me that you're gonna buy this for a daily commute in LA, Nashville, or Toronto, well, then I'd tell you that this is perfect. What you're giving up, the diff, the Bilstein dampers, the DSC track mode, and the other things, well, all of those matter more to people who are going to buy the manual anyway. It's not lesser, it's just different. But as long as I can still manage 3 pedals, well, this isn't for me, but you knew I was going to say that. This is the 2025 Mazda MX-5 with the automatic. Subscribe if you like this, don't if you don't. Comments are open if you disagree, and the merch store link is below if you want to help support more episodes like this. See you on the next one.